Carl Jung once said, "When you stop being available, everything changes." This powerful statement encourages us to rethink the way we approach relationships, work, and even our own lives. In a world where being constantly available is often seen as a sign of success, Jung's words challenge us to step back and prioritize our well-being. The pressure to be always reachable, whether for personal or professional reasons, can lead to burnout. In this era of constant communication, we often forget the importance of solitude and personal space. Jung's message is a reminder that sometimes it's okay to be unavailable. This act of stepping back can lead to personal growth and a deeper understanding of ourselves. By choosing to limit our availability, we open up space for introspection. This pause allows us to reconnect with our true selves, away from the noise and demands of the outside world. Jung's philosophy suggests that it's not the constant availability that brings us fulfillment, but the moments of solitude where we can reflect and grow. The idea of being unavailable may seem counterproductive in a fast-paced world that values immediacy. However, by learning to set boundaries, we actually create a healthier balance between our personal and professional lives. Being unavailable at times doesn't mean we're neglecting our responsibilities. Rather, we're taking control of our energy and mental well-being. Jung's insight encourages us to reconsider how much of our lives we give away to others. When we're constantly available, we might lose sight of what truly matters. By choosing to be unavailable, we take back control of our time and focus on our own needs and passions. This shift can lead to greater creativity, productivity, and fulfillment. When we're always at the beck and call of others, we risk losing ourselves in the process. Jung believed that we all need time to recharge and reflect. Only by setting clear boundaries and being unavailable when necessary can we preserve our energy and maintain a sense of self. In today's world, the constant push to be available at all times can create a sense of anxiety. Social media, emails, and instant messaging have made it harder to escape the pressure to respond quickly. However, Jung's perspective reminds us that our well-being depends on our ability to say no, to step back, and to retreat into our own space when needed. Being unavailable isn't about avoiding responsibilities or cutting off relationships. It's about creating the space we need to grow. Jung believed that self-care and reflection are vital for mental and emotional health. By stepping back from constant availability, we make room for introspection, creativity, and deeper connections with ourselves. The act of choosing to be unavailable can also help us better understand the dynamics of our relationships. When we stop being immediately available, we give others the chance to step up and take responsibility. This shift in dynamic can lead to more authentic connections, where both parties respect each other's space and needs. Jung's philosophy speaks to the necessity of inner strength and self-awareness. When we stop being available to everyone around us, we force ourselves to confront our own needs and desires. In the silence of our own company, we find clarity and insight into our true purpose. In relationships, being unavailable doesn't mean rejecting others. Instead, it means taking time for ourselves to cultivate our sense of self-worth. When we're constantly available, we may unknowingly compromise our own needs in favor of others. Setting boundaries, as Jung suggested, allows us to prioritize our mental and emotional health. The more we practice being unavailable, the more we realize how much space we need to grow. It's a process of reclaiming our power and learning to live authentically. When we learn to say no and create time for ourselves, we open the door to personal transformation and a more fulfilling life. Jung also emphasizes the importance of embracing the unknown. When we step away from constant availability, we enter into a space where we can confront the uncertainties of life. This uncertainty, though often uncomfortable, is where personal growth occurs. In moments of solitude, we become more attuned to our inner voice. This is where creativity flourishes and new ideas emerge. By creating space in our lives and saying no to constant demands, we allow ourselves to explore new possibilities and discover aspects of ourselves we may have overlooked. This concept of embracing the unknown is central to Jung's idea of individuation, the process of becoming the person we are meant to be. When we stop being constantly available, we start to uncover hidden aspects of ourselves, leading to greater self-awareness and fulfillment. Taking time for ourselves is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. In a world that constantly demands more of our time and energy, it's important to recognize when we need to step back. Jung's teachings encourage us to find balance between external expectations and internal needs. By learning to be unavailable, we create space to reconnect with our passions, interests, and goals. It's easy to lose sight of what we truly want when we're constantly responding to the needs of others. Jung's advice reminds us that we are not just here to serve others, but to live a fulfilling and meaningful life. When we stop being available, we give ourselves permission to prioritize our own happiness. This can mean different things for different people, whether it's time for a hobby, personal reflection, or simply resting. Whatever it may be, it's a crucial step toward living a more intentional and fulfilling life. One of the key takeaways from Jung's teachings is that we must learn to embrace our own energy. Constant availability depletes our reserves, leaving us exhausted and unable to give our best to the world. By choosing to be unavailable at times, we restore our energy and creativity. This doesn't mean we should isolate ourselves completely or avoid relationships. Rather, it's about recognizing the importance of personal time and the impact it has on our overall well-being. By setting boundaries, we create a healthier balance and allow ourselves to recharge. Jung understood that the human psyche requires moments of solitude to process emotions and experiences. These moments of disconnection are not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength. They allow us to reconnect with our inner selves and face life with renewed clarity and purpose. The idea of setting boundaries is often misunderstood. Many people fear that by being unavailable, they will alienate others or appear selfish. However, Jung teaches us that true generosity comes from a place of self-awareness and self-care. When we give too much of ourselves to others, we risk becoming resentful or burned out. By learning to say no and take time for ourselves, we prevent this from happening. Jung's perspective encourages us to approach relationships with a sense of balance, where we can give without depleting ourselves. Setting boundaries is not about rejecting others. It's about creating healthy spaces where both individuals can grow and thrive. Jung's insight reminds us that in order to give our best to the world, we must first take care of ourselves. In relationships, being unavailable can also help us understand our own needs more clearly. When we're constantly available, we may lose sight of what we truly want or need. Taking time for ourselves gives us the space to reflect on what is truly important. Jung believed that self-discovery is a key part of the human experience. By stepping back from external pressures and demands, we can better understand our own values, desires, and goals. This clarity allows us to live more intentionally and make choices that align with our true selves. In this way, being unavailable is not an act of selfishness, but rather an act of self-preservation. It allows us to reconnect with our authentic selves and make decisions that lead to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Jung's philosophy teaches us that change begins from within. When we stop being available to everyone around us, we start a process of transformation. By reclaiming our time and energy, we begin to shift our mindset and approach to life. The act of choosing when to be available and when to step back empowers us to take control of our own lives. We stop reacting to external circumstances and start making conscious decisions about how we spend our time and energy. This shift is the first step toward creating a life that is truly ours. By learning to say no and embrace solitude, we allow ourselves to focus on what truly matters. This change may be uncomfortable at first, but it leads to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. It's through this process that we create the space for true transformation. Jung's insights also speak to the importance of personal growth. When we stop being constantly available, we stop letting others dictate the course of our lives. This newfound freedom allows us to pursue our own passions and ambitions without distractions. The process of becoming unavailable forces us to face our own fears and limitations. It is in these moments of solitude that we can challenge our assumptions and beliefs, ultimately leading to greater self-awareness. By stepping back, we gain the clarity needed to make decisions that align with our true purpose. This idea of personal growth through self-reflection is central to Jung's philosophy. He believed that we must confront our inner selves to evolve. By becoming unavailable at times, we create the space needed to grow and transform into the person we are meant to be. As we continue to embrace the concept of being unavailable, we begin to understand its impact on our overall well-being. Jung's philosophy encourages us to prioritize our mental and emotional health by stepping back from external pressures. This process of disconnecting allows us to recharge and return to the world with renewed strength and purpose. Being unavailable is not about running away from life. It's about taking time to restore ourselves. When we're constantly giving to others, we often forget to give to ourselves. Jung's wisdom reminds us that self-care is essential for living a balanced and fulfilling life. The more we practice being unavailable, the easier it becomes to create boundaries and protect our energy. This practice becomes a form of self-respect, allowing us to cultivate healthier relationships and lead more intentional lives. In embracing the idea of being unavailable, we also learn the importance of pacing ourselves. Life is not a race, and constantly being available can create unnecessary stress and anxiety. By taking breaks and stepping back when needed, we allow ourselves the time to rest and reflect. Jung's philosophy encourages us to slow down and approach life with intention. By creating space for ourselves, we allow our minds and bodies to recover, which ultimately leads to greater productivity and creativity. It's through this balance that we can achieve a more sustainable and fulfilling life. In the process of learning to be unavailable, we also cultivate patience. We stop rushing and allow ourselves the time needed to make thoughtful decisions. This shift in perspective is key to finding peace and contentment in a world that often values speed over quality. Jung's teachings also highlight the importance of authenticity. When we stop being available to everyone all the time, we create an opportunity to reconnect with our true selves. This authenticity is the foundation of healthy relationships and a meaningful life. The more we embrace solitude and set boundaries, the more we align with our authentic selves. This alignment allows us to live with greater purpose and clarity. Jung believed that the journey to self-discovery is not always easy, but it is essential for finding fulfillment. By learning to be unavailable, we create the space needed for personal transformation. This process leads to greater authenticity, allowing us to live more truthfully and in alignment with our values. In conclusion, Carl Jung's message about stopping availability holds profound wisdom. By stepping back and creating space for ourselves, we allow for personal growth, self-reflection, and a deeper understanding of who we truly are. This practice of being unavailable helps us regain control over our lives and embrace our own energy. Jung reminds us that it's not through constant availability that we find fulfillment, but through moments of solitude and self-care. These moments allow us to recharge, reconnect, and return to the world with greater strength and clarity. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the demands of others, remember Jung's wisdom. Take a step back, create the space you need, and allow yourself the freedom to grow.